What is a barbarian? Is it a big, strong, axe-wielding warrior, a raging brute clad only in a loincloth, or a superpowered brawler kicking ass and taking names on the streets? I'm Zarek, lead designer of Indominant at Odin's Key Gaming, and today, Peter, the lead designer of Tales from Elsewhere, and I invite all of our fellow TTRPG designers and content creators to join us in a design challenge. So let's get barbaric. In this event, your challenge is to use your TTRPG system that you've designed, or if you're a content creator that focuses on that one system, to create a character that fits the themes and ideas of a barbarian. The character should take the barbarian theme in a novel direction, especially if your system already has a very stereotypical barbarian in its rules. The goal here really is just to have a lot of fun and create characters and talk about our games. In order to create your submission, all you have to do is create a YouTube video or a text or blog post, and you're going to use the hashtag #GetBarbaric, as well as tag or mention Odin's Key Gaming and Tales from Elsewhere. If it is a text or blog post, then you might want to email us or join our Discords and send it to us there. The challenge is going to end on February 28th, and after that, Peter and I are going to hop on a live stream, and we are going to watch and or read every single submission, and then we're going to give our quick thoughts and review about that submission and that concept. The links for our socials and our Discord servers are down below in the description. And with that, let's take a look at the Indominant submission. So the Indominant submission is a character called Super Sinew. He is a secret member of the GLU, the Galactic Legion United, in our setting, and he is a bruiser with super strength powers who's going to get up in your face, take hits, trade blows, and he's not really afraid to take his own hits and dish them back out. Super Sinew, being kind of a top secret hero, his personal real name is unknown, but his powers are that he can expand and stretch his body and his muscles, and so you can see in his art that he's got sort of like stretch marks from just expanding his skin to extreme sizes that his body actually can't even maintain. And so that's what his helmet and his gloves and boots do, is they keep his body from expanding into too large of a size and destroying itself. And in addition, just the nature of the character and his powers and how it affects the way he looks, he's very direct and blunt and short-tempered. He just likes to take care of problems with his fists and get things over with. And so he's got a short temper, short fuse, and he's always looking to pick a fight. So using the Indominant system, he is a bruiser, which is where we get that melee combatant sort of thing. He's got low defense but high damage reduction, which kind of exemplifies the idea that he's not afraid to take hits and dish them back out. And then paired with that, he has the super strength power set, which is pretty obvious what that does, but it gives him the ability of extreme strength, and the nature of his powers, as I mentioned earlier, he can overexert himself and push his limits, and it will hurt his body a little bit, but it causes great effects. Super Sinew's powers come from a genetic mutation that he was born with, and it even affected him at an early stage of life. His powers showed up early, and it's kind of part of his troubled past is all we really know about him at the time. He's quite durable and hard to take down, and he's very strong. He's had a life of fighting on the streets and getting beaten up and beating up other people as well. And so his stats exemplify that. He's got 3 durability, 4 might, and 1 power. This gives him very good offensive capabilities, very good control, and through use of his super strength inherent effect, as well as his brutal strike archetype ability, he's able to still deal very good damage even though he has a low power stat. As you can see, he has high health. As I mentioned, he's very durable and high damage reduction. The combination of these stats makes him very difficult to take down in a fight, especially when we pair that with his second wind archetype ability. This character, I created him at level 5 just to show off quite a few different powers and talents and things of that nature. So as you can see here, his inherent effect is Supreme Might. As I mentioned, he can overexert himself and use his super strength powers. For Super Sinew, that's going to be expanding his fist to this massive size you can see in his art and punching. It's going to hurt him, but it's really going to hurt his target as well. Before we jump into his powers, I just want to talk about the talents that I selected for him at levels 2 and 4. So we started with residual power. The kind of thematic I went for here is when he expands his body, he kind of leaves it expanded. So when he uses his Supreme Mind Inherent effect, he's going to gain 1 defense for 1 turn. This fits that theme that he's expanded his body and it's still kind of expanded, so it's bulkier and tougher, and it's going to be harder to hit him and hurt him because of it. And then his tier 2 talent at level 4 I selected is Penetrating Strike. So the mechanics of this is that when he uses his Brutal Strike archetype ability, he's going to deal 2 penetrating damage even if the attack misses. This again is kind of to exemplify the idea that he's punching with this big fist and he's enlarged it, so even if he does miss or it gets blocked, that large amount of mass is going to still hurt, or maybe even kind of break through their defenses a little bit. So for powers, his base powers, I did something a little unusual, but I'll explain why, and that is I did not choose any minor actions for his base powers. He has Super Jab, which is a basic kind of punch, and Super Shove, which he can use to knock somebody back and knock them down, which will give him dominance to make his attacks in the future. It'll help his allies, and it can help him reposition his enemies. And for his tier 1 powers here, I selected Bulk Up. This is kind of what I was talking about earlier, where I left a minor action out of the base powers. Generally, I suggest to select a minor action always in one of your base power selections. So Bulk Up is going to use his super strength power, so he's going to enlarge his whole body, make himself a bit stronger, and this is also going to give him extra damage reduction to make him deal more damage when he hits his enemies, since he's very good at hitting his enemies. Next, I chose Return the Favor. It's a good reaction, especially because he's got low defense and he's going to be running into melee range, sort of that. Again, the idea that he's just going to take hits, he's going to take low damage because he's got good damage reduction, doesn't really care about getting hit, and he's just going to turn around and punch right back. And then Strong Arm, another main action. This is one of my favorite powers. So this is going to let him enlarge one of his arms and pick somebody up and immobilize them and carry them around. This is why I chose a good control modifier. That way he can more easily pick people up with this power, since it's a mind check for them. For the tier 2 powers, to kind of help with the fact that he doesn't have a base power with a minor action, I chose Body Missile. That will let you use the main action to get into range, hit your enemy, and then also follow that up with another melee attack. So kind of softens the blow of not having a free minor action that I can do every turn. And then Clearing Wave, this is another good minor action power, a bit more utility. Kind of the idea here is he's enlarging his hands, slapping them together, create a big pressure wave that clears out like flames and maybe ice on the ground, stuff like that. And Seismic Slam is my third tier 2 power. This is a good area power that's going to do a nice control effect around him and a good utility, so that maybe he can Seismic Slam and then use his Strong Arm or his Body Missile. Or as you'll see here, another one of our tier 3 powers that would benefit from Seismic Slam. For his tier 3 powers, the first selection I made is Big Flex. This is another reaction that's going to help him take less damage. So when somebody attacks him, he can enlarge his body to kind of try to reflect or absorb that blow. It'll increase his defense and give him some increased damage reduction if the attack still hits. And then Constrictor, this pairs really well with Seismic Slam that I was mentioning earlier. This is another good control power, but it also will deal some good damage. He's going to grab somebody and expand his body to squeeze them and crush them. It'll immobilize them and deal some good damage. And then Jawbreaker, just another good kind of hybrid of damage and control. He's going to do a big two-handed smash. He's going to expand his arms to do this huge strike that's going to deal some damage and also potentially daze the enemy. And with that, that is the Indominant Submission for the Let's Get Barbaric challenge. I'm excited to see all of your submissions. Don't forget to use the hashtag #GetBarbaric and tag Odin Gaming and Tales from Elsewhere. Now it's your turn to get barbaric.